Howdy, this is Charles with Simply NUC at simplynuc.com, and today we've got a special treat. We're going to be looking inside. This is a first look at the Gen 7 Core i3 Baby Canyon product. This one is the K chassis, which is the slender chassis that doesn't take a 2.5-inch drive. And this is an engineering sample box, but the product inside is a pre-production. And the difference is international certifications. This will be released when all of their certifications such as CE and UL and FCC, once all of those certifications have been completed, then the product will be in production. So let's take a quick look. Already cut the box open. All the contents in the box that you would expect in a production box are present. It's just the cardboard itself is different. All right, so here it is. Here is the, let me see if I can get a close-up. Now, similar to the new Celeron that was just released, the power button and drive activity LED are now moved from the top to the front. So this is now just a plain top. And on the front, we have a power button with an LED built in for the power LED. So that will light when power is actually on. And then you see this transparent rectangular ring. There's a blue LED behind that on the on the Core i3, i5, i7 products that lights up blue. It's white on the Celeron product. You can also see the tip ring shield, or TRRS 3.5 millimeter headset jack. This has both stereo headphones and a microphone. Of course, you can just plug in either a microphone or just a stereo headset. You'll also notice that there are two holes on the front. These two holes behind that is two microphones. And so this is your dual microphone, kind of a stereophonic microphone, to be used with applications that listen to voice primarily, so that they could activate Cortana in Windows 10. And you see that we have the two USB 3.0 ports on the front. One is yellow to indicate it's a high amperage charging port of 2.1 amp. Looking on the side, we have the Kensington lock on one side. And a new change on the other side is now a micro SD card slot. Some of the Celeron and Pentium products had a full-sized SD card slot. This one has micro, so does the i3, i5, and i7. Next, we're going to take a look at the back. Starting with the DC jack, we have a standard 5.5 millimeter by 2.5 millimeter tip, positive tip DC jack, that the unit is rated for 12 volts to 24 volts DC. Typical wattage on the product is about 17 to 22 under normal operation, but because of the 4 USB 3.0 jacks and the 1 USB 3.1 jack, you can actually load down more amperage through USB devices than the NUC itself takes. Now, I would advise against that. If you're going to be powering a bunch of USB devices, use a powered USB hub to do so. The reason is, even though we can supply the power to do so, generating the 5 volts to the USB devices creates additional heat inside the NUC. So you're causing more heat inside the NUC to power those devices than if you use an external powered hub. We have our HDMI 2.0 port, and so this is a full 4K at 60 Hertz. We have a Intel Gigabit Ethernet adapter. Of course, it's 10100 compliant, but it also has all of the normal features you would find on an Intel Gigabit Ethernet adapter. We have the two USB 3.0 ports, and then we have a USB 3.1 Type-C connector. And as you can see, this is not only super speed USB, supporting USB 3.1 up to 10 gigabits per second, but also supporting USB 3.0 and supporting DisplayPort 1.2, which also means daisy chain monitors. And so you can actually daisy chain up to 3 monitors on this Type-C connector, or you can daisy chain 2 4K monitors on the Type-C and 1 4K monitor on the HDMI for a total of 3 4K monitors. Now please note that on the Core i3 product, that is not Thunderbolt. It is only a Type-C USB 3.1 and DisplayPort 1.2 connector. On the Core i5 and the Core i7 products, this is fully Thunderbolt 3 compliant, and so in addition to the 10 gigabit USB 3.1 and the DisplayPort 1.2, you also have Thunderbolt 3, which is the 40 gigabit. So you can plug in an external graphics box into this connector with an external graphics card to drive higher-end graphics or into high-end storage. Now, the reason that the Thunderbolt is not available on the Core i3 product is most people buying Core i3 are trying to save some money, and the chances of somebody wanting to plug in a high-performance Thunderbolt device into a Core i3 product is going to be rare, and so they reduce the cost further by not including the Thunderbolt chip. And that is the back of the unit. Thank you. And we're back with our first look at the new Gen 7 Baby Canyon. This time we'll be taking a look at the inside. I've already loosened the screws. And the first thing you'll notice is that there's not the 2.5-inch drive bay found in the H model, as this is the K. But we still do have the power connector and data connector, as the motherboard is the same motherboard in either the H or K model. It's the same motherboard. In fact, it's the same motherboard whether it's Core i3 or Core i5, and I believe it's the same motherboard for the Core i7 now. And so first thing we notice is the DIMM sockets. These are DDR4 2133, and they're the laptop style SO260s. And in this case, simply NUC has installed a matched pair of the HyperX from Kingston. These are high performance, low latency gaming DIMMs, and they're in a dual bank, dual rank, dual channel configuration. So we get the best performance we can out of these RAMs in this configuration. And then we have a OEM model of the Samsung. This is the fastest SSD we've tested to date. It is a 256 gig in this case, but we've actually demonstrated sustained writes of over 1 gigabytes per second and sustained reads close to 3.5 gigabytes per second. So this actually puts it faster than the 960 Pro. We actually have tested the 960 Pro, and this OEM model is a little bit faster. We can see that there's the USB 2.0 connectors. The microphone cable for the front panel microphones comes in and plugs in a connector. And we have a 2mm connector, most likely for a serial connector or serial cable. This chassis doesn't have a place to mount such a DE9P connector, but they probably have some plans for it. And then under the SSD is the Wi-Fi radio. It's an 802.11 BGN, 802.11 AC, and Bluetooth 4.2 low energy. I believe it's the 8260 model. And while the NUC will support both 42mm and 80mm, this is the 80, and even when you order lower density SSDs, even down to 32 gig, you would get the 80mm because the performance difference over the 42 is pretty significant. So that's it. That's our first look at the inside of the new Gen 7 Baby Canyon. And the next thing we're going to do is fire this up and start looking at some performance. Thank you.